Hi everyone. Tonight our recording will be in English because my guest is from America. I know a lot of Turkish people know English. There she is. Okay. Hello, Özlem. Let's see. Here we go. I'm myself, my guest. Yay!
Hey!
Actually, yours is the fastest I've ever connected.
Oh my God, all the way from New York to Istanbul, we have a fast connection?
Yeah, and it's still Mercury retrograde for a few more days. I keep
Yeah,
pointing that out every week because I always wait for something to go wrong, but so far so good. Nothing
good.
major. Hi.
Hi!
How are you, Elise?
I am doing very, very well. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. I just put the babies to bed, had some dinner, and
Yeah.
I brought my little water here. It says coffee, but it's
Yes.
actually water
I have
because your
mine
mouth
too.
can get dry. Yeah, I love the bunny.
Yeah, the bunny is like my
Spirit
it's like
animal?
not my spirit animal, but like my animal. I have
Mm-hmm.
a tattoo of a bunny too on my foot, so
Really?
yeah.
Well, bunnies are cute.
Yes.
Mm. So people are starting to join slowly, but I just want to ask a second time. Do you hear
hmm
me fine?
Yep, I hear you perfect. How about you? You hear me good?
Same here. Same
Awesome.
here. So yeah, I think we can maybe start to get going with our conversation. I'll do a little short introduction on how I know Elise. So
Yes.
Elise is a new friend. I consider you a new friend. And I feel like we have a lot in common. We took a course together. We took B. Bosniak's course. She was my guest a few weeks ago.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
we both have Leo rising. And actually, since you're a Cancer, I'm a Scorpio, we're both water
hmm
signs. I've always felt, our group is awesome, by the way. It's a bunch of female entrepreneurs, a lot of them yoga people, right? A
Yes.
wellness industry. But I felt this connection with you from the get-go, really.
Yeah, same here, same here.
Yeah, and that happened naturally for us to, decide to do this together tonight. But the other
hmm
thing is, it's a very real thing. I've been, of course, following you, and you're talking a lot about Yoga Nidra.
Yes.
And I know you say Yoga Nidra, and I say Yoga Nidra, but it's the same thing. There's
Yeah.
different pronunciations. And
hmm
as a still, with babies, 15-month-old babies, my sleep is still not what it used to be. And I've tried a lot of things. I've tried melatonin. I've tried meditation. Like every
Yes.
night since December, I've been meditating, falling asleep on, the couch or my sitting surface. Like my head would drop back and forward, and then I would
Yeah.
go to bed hoping to drift away. And I'm a yoga teacher, right? I should know this stuff. People might think this, but in
hmm
Turkish we have a saying: if someone's bald and they put on a cream on their head, it doesn't work for them. Like if he knew how to, give himself hair, he would use that. Or it's
Right,
hard to
right, right.
translate, but like sometimes not everything works. So
Right.
when you were mentioning Yoga Nidra in your posts, and also when
hmm
you shared your story, it really, stood out to me that you had an autoimmune disease. Is that right to
Yes.
say?
Yeah.
And you had chronic pain and difficulty sleeping. I'll let you tell your story, but I could relate to that. And even though I was meditating and breathing and everything, I wasn't doing Yoga Nidra. And I
hmm
thought, I got to give this thing a try. And when you had that workshop the other day, I wanted to listen to the recording and also the other recording that you have. I listened to that. And
Yep.
I've been uh, sleeping with white noise for over a year because every little sound would wake me up. My husband snoring, or the babies, or any little sound at all from outside would wake me up. And
hmm
like you said in your workshop, not giving someone sleep or not getting proper sleep is a form of torture.
Yes.
That's how I felt every day. Like I can't be my full self. I can't live out my full potential. I want to be a better mom. And it just trickles into all of the areas of your life, this lack of sleep.
Yes.
And then you get obsessed about it. Plus, I had an autoimmune situation, and many people who
hmm
know me, they know it's eczema and it's this really intense scratching on the hands, my
Yeah.
neck, everywhere. And it was just this vicious cycle. I couldn't sleep. I scratched. I woke up. I would be angry for being up. And then, anyway, really
Yes.
difficult times. And ever since I tried your Yoga Nidra recording, I've been sleeping without white noise. And I've been
Yes.
sleeping through the whole night.
That's
And then
so amazing.
this is the thing, like this kind of thing, you can't plan for it. So I was telling Elise how awesome it was and how we both mentioned this in our posts today, that it's the best kept secret in the yoga
Yeah.
world.
Yes.
We're going to talk a lot about why that may be, but man, it's really the best kept secret.
Yeah.
And it was so effective. I'm still in my early stages of practicing, but I'm going to hold on to that baby because it's working. So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, how you started yoga, and of course, how you found Yoga Nidra, all of that, and then we'll get
Yes.
into what Yoga Nidra actually is. So, welcome again.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and it makes me so, so happy to hear when you say that you were able to sleep for the first time without the white noise and without
In
waking up
months.
in
Yes,
months, because I can relate to your struggle so much of not being able to sleep, and then you get angry that you can't sleep, and then you're stressed that you can't sleep, and all of that. It's a vicious
exactly.
cycle. So
Exactly.
I really relate to that. It makes me so happy because I feel like I'm always talking about yoga nidra, and when I hear someone else try it and be like, oh my God, I'm like, yes, like this is what I'm talking about.
That's what we were like
So,
in the DM, and then that's how we
yeah,
thought of doing the live because we were
yes,
genuinely like high-fiving each other, like, this works. Why don't people know about this?
yes, yes.
And my
Okay.
student, by the way, is here, Yasemin, and she's also
Oh,
one I recommended Yoga Nidra to, and I think it helped her as well. So thank you for saying that, Yasemin. Go
oh,
ahead.
hi, Yasmin.
Yeah.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name's Elise, as Senem said. I'm from New York. I am a yoga and meditation teacher. How I got into yoga? Ooh, I was in college, so maybe that was like almost 12 years ago now that I started practicing yoga. I was a dancer for a very, very long time,
Mm-hmm.
ever since I was 4 years old. And then when I was in college, I was still dancing. So I just kind of gravitated to yoga because the way it feels in the body is quite similar. So, like many yoga teachers and yogis, I came to the practice for the physical aspects of it first. And I kind of stayed in that physical zone for like many, many, many years. And I think I mentioned to you when we were talking about this, it was about 10 years into my practice that I first came across Yoga Nidra. And how I came across it was I used to be a member of like a fancy gym, and they had a very strong yoga program, and they did a workshop one time on Yoga Nidra. And I was like, well, whatever, like it's the translation of Yoga Nidra is yogic sleep. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds cool. Like, let me go and try it out. And I liked it. I wasn't sure what to expect when I went, and so I just kind of
Mm-hmm.
went in with no expectations, and I
Mm-hmm.
liked it, but I wouldn't say that I was really in love with it, like, yet.
Same with me
Um,
years ago. Yeah, I wasn't
yeah,
in love, but I could see the value. But I guess, yeah,
yes.
there was time for it.
Yes.
Hmm.
So then, a little bit more time went on. As you mentioned, I deal with chronic illness. I've had some autoimmune stuff going on since I was a teenager, so many, many years of that. And then I was also diagnosed with chronic Lyme about 4 years ago now, I want to
Right.
say. You lose track of time, right? But, a
Hmm.
couple of years back, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme. I was also working as a public school teacher in a high school in New York City, a very, very large high school, super high stress environment. And I was chronically stressed, chronically ill, and just
And
not
it
feeling
also took
great.
you a while to be diagnosed, right? If I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
with the Lyme, it actually took only a year for me to be diagnosed with Lyme, which is in the
That's
Lyme
a long
disease.
time. No, for
It's long, but many people go like 10 plus
years.
years. Yeah, a really long time. But I was kind of, since I've dealt with autoimmune issues since being a teenager, I was kind of already taking more charge of my own health and not necessarily listening to doctors when they were like, oh, you're fine, you're fine. Like,
Or it's all
Yeah,
in your head.
yeah, it's all in your head. Like, yeah, you feel awful all the time, but all of your blood work looks great and all of your tests are fine.
A
So
lot of times that's the case with eczema too. But yes, yeah.
yeah, they're all very similar, but I kind of having dealt with, I guess, illness for many years, I kind of knew to listen more to myself than to doctors. So
And maybe yoga too, the yoga practice also. I don't
exactly,
know.
exactly. No, yeah, definitely, for sure.
Hmm.
So yes, I was saying I was stressed, working in the public schools, very, very high stress job, dealing with chronic illness. I had also just gotten married. I was getting my master's degree at night.
Wow.
Like I was doing a
Wow.
lot of stuff. Yeah,
A
we
lot
just
on your
bought a
plate.
right. We had just purchased our first home. Like it was a lot of stuff at once that just contributed to this major like stress bomb that I think really that's what put the Lyme disease in motion is just being so chronically, fight or
Hmm.
flight, cortisol pumping, all stressed out. So after I had tried that workshop at my gym,
Hmm.
I was, feeling just awful all the time, having trouble sleeping because I was so stressed about work. I mentioned to you that I was having stress dreams. So even when I was like stressed in my sleep. Like I would dream
Oh.
about school and, whatever, just like that there were thousands of students just coming into my
Chasing you
classroom. Yeah,
like
I was
zombies. Oh
screaming
God.
and nobody was listening. Like
Oh my
it
goodness.
was, it was not good.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. I just picture that, them walking around like zombies and chasing you,
Well,
but it's
that's how
actually
it
not
felt.
funny. Yeah, that sounds really difficult, challenging.
Hmm. Yeah, so I was kind of in that place and I was just like, you know what? Let me try this yoga nidra before I go to bed. And I
Mm-hmm.
was using the app Yoga Glow. It's also called
Mm.
Glow. And they had just a ton of yoga nidra recordings on there and I
Mm-hmm.
would just pick one and I had my whole nighttime routine like I had the melatonin, I did the
The
Epsom
tea, the
salt
herbal
bubble
tea,
bath, the
yeah, yeah.
tea, the lavender
Breathing,
oil,
meditation. Yes, lavender oil.
everything.
All the lavender oil in the world won't make you sleep if it'll
Exactly.
help a little bit, but your mind is so active.
Yes.
And we're
So
going to
I would
talk about that too in a moment. Hmm.
yeah, so I would do all of that and then I would get in my bed and I would play my yoga nidra recording from Yoga Glow and I started noticing the same as you. Like I was able to fall asleep more quickly and stay asleep
Hmm.
and noticing less of those stress streams and waking up just feeling like I actually slept, which
Hmm.
is everything. And so
It's
I
everything.
just it's everything. I did that almost every single weeknight before work for almost a full year.
Hmm.
And I
But you felt
just
the effect pretty quickly, right? Not.
pretty quickly, yes, for
Hmm.
sure. For sure. And I loved it. I even, this was before I did my yoga teacher training, and I was working, like I said, in the schools. I was an Italian teacher. And I
Hmm.
even went so far as to translate the Yoga Nidra scripts into Italian, and I would do them with
Hmm.
my students.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Wow.
Because some days I would just go in and I'm like, I just can't do it right
Let's
now.
just
And
ground together.
we're learning Italian. It's in Italian. Sit in your desk, close your eyes, and listen up.
Good. And
So
it was
yeah,
okay in the school. The school was okay with this.
yeah. I mean, my door was closed. Yeah, it was okay.
It seems like a very innocent and good thing to happen behind closed doors.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
now a lot of schools are integrating relaxation meditation into their systems anyway. They really have to.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
young
yeah.
adults are so chronically stressed, or young children, young anybody,
I
teenagers. Yeah.
agree. I mean,
Oh,
anyone that
and
was in that school system, like I was feeling the stress. I can't imagine that everyone wasn't feeling it.
there's
So
so much pressure on people these days to perform and do well, and it starts early. So we need to learn these tools at a young age. It would be so great
I
if we did,
agree.
right?
I totally agree. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And so that's
So,
pretty much it. After that year is when I did my yoga teacher training. I eventually decided to leave my teaching job because it was just
hmm.
too much stress, too much impact on my health. And I did a
Hi,
300
Jenna.
hour. Hey,
Sorry. Yeah,
Jenna.
if I might say hello to some people sometimes, but yeah, keep going.
Yeah, no worries. So then I actually went and did a 300-hour yoga teacher training after my original one, and I was very, very lucky, and that the teacher also was a aficionado of Yoga Nidra.
Awesome.
So we actually did a lot of training on it, and that is when I finally learned all about the science and what's actually going on with the technique. Like, what is it actually designed to do, and why does it work? And I was just like, oh my
Blown
God.
away.
Yeah. I was
I
like,
mean,
I
I
knew
watched
there was a reason why I love this.
I watched your workshop the other day, and yeah, Elise has this awesome Yoga Nidra workshop where she talks about what Yoga Nidra is in full length, and then she walks you through a whole session. And that was my first, reintroductory session with Yoga Nidra. And you explained so well what happens. And I was, yeah, even though I kind of knew at some level, I was blown away once again, and just realized how important this is. So I'm
Yeah.
really glad. It probably wasn't a coincidence that your teacher, your lives, your paths, you
Yes.
crossed paths. So that's great. And then you got into it even more,
hmm
and you seem to be drawn to this in your teaching style too, right?
I mean, yeah, I definitely am, and I still practice it myself. Not every night anymore because I don't need it that much anymore, but I practice it very, very regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely one of my own primary healing tools in my toolbox because
Yeah,
my health is much, much better than where it was for sure. But
so
whenever you
good.
have anything chronic, you deal with it for life. So
That's the thing.
I use it for that, but it helps me manage it so
Maintenance.
well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teacher, I love to include it in my yoga classes also because I find that not very many yoga teachers are doing it regularly with their classes. So,
I wasn't all these years. I mean, I knew what it was, but it wasn't really offered in many yoga studios and as
right,
teachers. I mean, workshops were sometimes offered, but
right.
I don't know. For some reason, I also seem to have ignored it for a long time, even though I
hmm
knew the importance of slowing down, getting into the parasympathetic nervous system, or
Right,
relaxing and, not overstressing ourselves. I knew the importance of that for sure, but
right.
I don't know what, maybe because no one around me is doing it, or I don't even know the reason, but I'm glad that it's here now. Like it's saving
Yes,
my life, literally saving my life. So, and saved
yes.
yours too, it sounds like.
Yeah, it played a big role for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this is really great. Like I still think it's the best kept secret. So how does it work?
That's a big question.
I mean, yeah, we're delving into the brain stuff now. So science
Yes.
people, if you're not convinced, this is scientific evidence. There's.
Yes. Well, so maybe first I'll just try to explain very, very simply what it actually is, and
Exactly.
and then I'll talk a little bit about how it's designed to work.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So Yoga Nidra it's essentially just a guided meditation practice. And you practice it lying down.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's described as you lie down in Shavasana, but you don't have to lie in Shavasana if that's uncomfortable for you for whatever reason. The most important thing when you're practicing is that you're very, very, very comfortable
Mm-hmm.
because you want to be able to relax. And if you're uncomfortable, you can't relax. So you want to lay down. I used to do it, as I said, in my bed every single
Mm-hmm.
night in my pajamas. So that's go for it, get in your bed, put your pajamas on, you get your oils, you get all cozy. And then you
I
do
mean, it
this.
sounds amazing.
Yeah,
It sounds like a spa experience.
that's how I feel sometimes when I finish with it for sure.
Everybody, we got to do this more often. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just guided meditation. And before we did this live today, I was looking kind of back over about all of my information about Yoga Nidra a little bit, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw it's also described as, for anyone who is familiar with yogic philosophy on here, as a pratyahara practice. So
Mm-hmm.
pratyahara is, the fifth limb of the eight limb path. It means sensory deprivation. So,
Withdrawing your senses, another
right,
way
with
that I've learned it.
sensory
Yeah, withdrawal
withdrawal.
of the senses. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you withdraw the senses, when we practice yoga nidra, we lie down, we close our eyes. And the
Mm-hmm.
only sense that we are utilizing to practice yoga nidra is our sense of hearing. So it's very often said that the way yoga nidra works is on the level of hearing and on the level of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually quite interesting because they've done sort of studies on when people are like unconscious, like say they get, they black out or they're knocked out or
Mm-hmm.
they're in a coma or something medical is going on, or even before people pass away.
Right.
Your hearing is actually the last sense that goes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's fascinating to think about it like working on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're withdrawing the senses so that you can
Mm-hmm.
go more inside of yourself, and you're just using that hearing to follow the voice of whoever's leading your yoga nidra, kind
So
of like
that's
go ahead.
something I asked you in our conversation yesterday was that I just want to point this out for people who have no idea. They're hearing about it for the first time. You can't
Hmm.
do yoga nidra on your own, right? You
Right,
have to have a recording or a person present or
right.
an external voice, right?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to kind of imagine that external voice as kind of like your little lifeline. So that's all you need to do when you practice is just follow the sound of that voice. Just stay
Surrender.
connected, surrender just to the voice, stay connected, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a guided meditation, pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses practice, and the word yoga nidra, the name, it actually translates to yogic sleep. That's the English translation.
Right.
Very important, though, that you actually do want to try to stay awake when you practice it, because you're getting the full benefits that way. However, many people use it to fall asleep, or you just fall asleep, and
Well,
all,
that's the thing. I
yeah,
was at the fingers. I mean, it's you start
yeah,
with the right hand, but I
yeah.
was well, maybe at my left hand, and I already fell asleep.
But you know what that means? It just means that you really need to sleep, and that's what you need. And like we said, your hearing is still operating when you're asleep. So you're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
getting that. You're not aware of it. So it's okay if you fall asleep.
I mean, yeah, and I was using it for that, but I know people do it during the day also when they're
Hmm.
feeling maybe pent up or too stimulated and they need to calm
Right.
down, or they just simply need to rest. Instead of a nap,
Right.
maybe you can do a
Yes.
session of yoga nidra. And I wrote this today, and you also told me half an hour of yoga nidra is equivalent to 2 to 4 hours of sleep, right? Of
Yes.
restful sleep. So,
Yes.
and how does that happen?
Right. So, okay, we'll get more into how it works
Sure,
now, right?
you can lead the conversation. I mean, yeah, you're still
No, no,
explaining.
you're totally on track, because the first thing that I was going to talk about was the whole thing with the brain waves, which is
Hmm.
definitely related to sleep. So when we're practicing yoga nidra and we're doing this, sensory guided meditation practice, your brain waves actually change. So this is getting
Mm.
into the science a little bit.
And this is the part that I'm very interested in because when people
Yes.
think it's woo-woo, this is like, guys, it's not.
You know what? It's woo woo, but there's science to back up the woo woo, and there's a reason why the woo woo works. So I'm all for it.
Me too.
um, so right now, when we're doing this Instagram live and when we're in our regular lives, we are in beta brainwaves. And beta brainwaves, like brainwaves are actually waves. So if you look at
Hmm.
them like on a brain scan or whatever it's called, they actually show up as waves. And beta brain waves, they're very close together, like it would look like a quicker wave, because our brain is having a lot of activity now. They are
Right.
the brain waves of, conscious activity, logic, analysis, thinking,
Decision
senses,
making. Hmm.
all of that. Like we're in it right now. And then once you start to do any sort of relaxation practice, or even if you're, going down on your way to sleep, your brainwaves start to change. And if you look at them on the brain scan, they start to get farther apart. So once we're doing any sort of meditation, we start to drop down right away into alpha brainwaves. That's the next level after beta. So
So
they're
we were
going,
at beta, the cognitive mind, the
yes,
day-to-day, active mind that is
yes,
actually useful, but we probably use it too much. Now we're
yes.
down at beta with
Uh,
the meditation.
Once we drop down, we go
Alpha,
into
alpha.
alpha.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
slowing down a little bit and we're at alpha.
Right. So that would be your more relaxed state. And
Still
then
awake though, right?
still
Still
awake,
awake.
still
Hmm.
awake. And then once you start to drop deeper, the next brainwave is going to be theta brainwaves. And those
Hmm.
are getting even farther apart on the brain scan. And theta is kind of that space between being asleep and awake. And even when you're asleep but dreaming, you're in theta
Mm.
brainwaves. So there's still more brain activity happening there.
Hmm.
And then finally, when you're in a deep, deep sleep but with no dreams, you are in delta brainwaves.
Wow.
And those
Okay.
are really, really far apart, really slow
I
kind of
don't think as
looking.
a mother I've been in Delta for a long time. I don't know. Is that possible? Like we're not scientists here, but
I
yeah,
don't
that deep,
know.
deep, deep, deep sleep because you're always alert with, especially newborns. But I
Yeah.
don't know. So interesting.
Yeah.
So it's in between that. I'm mixing it up. First it's alpha
Beta,
or first
beta,
it's beta,
alpha, beta,
alpha,
alpha, theta,
theta,
delta. Yes.
delta. Yeah. So I guess the meditation is I'm mixing it up again. Alpha?
The
Yeah, alpha.
meditation is going to bring you down to alpha most likely, and
Alpha.
then you might also be dipping into theta as well. Everyone is different. It would be very hard to know what brainwave
Yeah,
you're
like it's
actually
not
in, but
so
yeah.
black and white. It
Right.
doesn't work the same way for everybody. It
Right.
usually is easier for someone who's practiced meditation and breath work for years
Hmm.
to, I'm thinking, drop into this yoga nidra
Yes.
theta wave state. But
Yes, I would agree. Or
mhm.
if you just happen to be a really chill person who can relax super deep, super quick, that's not me. I don't think
That's
that's
not
you
me
either.
either. Oh God. Yeah.
Right. But so the yoga nidra, so I said it means yogic sleep, and
Right.
the name yoga nidra is actually the state that they want you to reach in this practice, and that is the state between being asleep and being awake, which I would say is almost a theta brainwave. So
Hmm.
you're getting after that theta state. So like if you fall asleep and or you're falling asleep and then all of a sudden you feel like jolted out of it, like you feel like you're
You
falling or
jump
something.
out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was you coming out of that state between sleep and wakefulness. The hypnagogic state
Hypnagogic state.
is the other
Yeah.
name for it. Right. So
Hmm.
we all
Hmm.
go there every time we fall asleep. We all actually pass through yoga nidra. It's just the state between sleep and wakefulness. So the whole
But I
practice is
guess
designed to get you there.
get you there and maybe get you to stay there, linger there for a while instead of just,
Yes.
dropping or passing through quickly.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is that if, like you said, if you're new to this versus if you're an experienced meditator or if you're a very kind of stressed, uptight, or perfectionist person
Alpha
versus
type.
a
Yeah.
chill person, everyone is different. So you might practice yoga nidra and never reach that state, even for years and years and years. You have to practice it to start to train your body and your mind to be able to drop down, which is
Yeah.
a reason why so many of us have trouble sleeping is that we are so, stressed, we just can't drop down when it's time to drop down. So
No,
that's also why
no.
this is helpful.
I know so many times when my body is super tired, I can feel
Hmm.
it. My bones, my back, everything's hurting from also holding the babies all day and
Yeah.
even before them. But then my mind is still crazy active. Like I'm thinking of all these things I have to do, or I'm
Hmm.
actually working or writing, getting back to people, emails, something, something, but my body's tired. I'm aware of
Exactly.
that and I should be sleeping, but the mind is super active. And even in
Yeah.
meditation and doing breath work, it works, but it works during the meditation. And yes, it
Right.
does help. Something does slow down. But when I'm in that bed again, for me,
Yeah.
it wakes up even though I don't look at my phone. Like I'm just
Hmm.
telling this because I'm sure a lot of people, they look at their phones in bed or their, iPads, and nothing
Yes.
wrong with that. But they always say that also the light is keeping the brain waves active, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that too.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the brain waves are a huge part. Like that's actually what's happening to your brain when you're doing this.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why it's such a healing practice because as you mentioned, no sleep is torture. So when we can get more of those sleepy brainwaves going, it's actually mimicking real sleep in the body. So it feels very rejuvenating and restorative to do the practice.
So we really need to slow down, like
Yeah.
really, really, really slow down.
Yeah,
That's the
I think
message I'm
so.
getting. Hmm.
I agree. And the other part of the way that yoga nidra works is the whole thing with the nervous system, right?
Mm.
So we have
So brainwaves,
parasympathetic, yeah, brainwaves and
and
nervous
now
system.
nervous system.
Yeah, so we have parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic is your fight or flight, run. The classic example is run from a saber-toothed tiger nervous system.
I always joke that it's sympathetic, but there's nothing sympathetic
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. I don't know why they're called that, whatever, but and I think that so many of us don't realize that almost all the time we are in that sympathetic state. Like we live in a stressful world, the pressure with your career, the pressure to have it all, to have the family, that especially as women, right? Have the
So true.
family, the kids, the
Bounce back
perfect
after you have the
life,
baby. Oh God, yes, yes, all
perfect
of it.
body, everything. And technology, just having screens in our faces all of the time. The light is very stressful to the body, whether or not we realize it. So we're all just walking around in this state of fight or flight. Cortisol is the hormone that's going to be pumping at this time. That was definitely what was happening to me. I can look back and see that now, that was really what was going on. And when we do any relaxation practice, really, hopefully, is going to kick on that parasympathetic
Yeah,
nervous
breath
system.
work.
Breath work, even just a regular yoga class, a few deep breaths, whatever it is, can do it. But for some reason, for me, yoga nidra is super effective. And I don't know, we could talk more about that later. But so yeah,
Hmm.
it kicks
Hmm.
on your rest and digest. And that's actually going to say to your body, like on a cellular level, like, okay, you can relax. It's safe to rest, all of that. And like I said, we don't realize how stressed and amped up we actually are.
No, we don't.
We don't. And now that I have, I left my job as a teacher and I'm doing the yoga thing and all of that, I can actually feel, even when I go into a shavasana in a regular yoga class, I actually feel how much easier it is for me to
Drop
actually
in.
just to drop in. Before, I mean, like I said, I was practicing yoga for 10 years. Shavasana, I would lie there with my eyes closed, but it was like my brain was so,
Twitching,
yeah, like,
fidgeting.
ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like doing yoga nidra so much, and of course also leaving my very, very stressful job, it just really helped my body come back to a place of balance where it actually
Yeah,
functions how it's supposed to.
this makes me think of it's not enough to, like, if you stay in an extremely stressful situation, a really bad relationship, something that's giving you constant stress, and then you
Mm-hmm.
do yoga nidra and hope for things to change, it's probably not going to be enough. You also have to
Right,
make different choices, most likely. I know some
right,
people have to stay in a crappy job for a long time. They may have to, they may not have another choice. And then,
right.
yes, you kind of like get through it somehow. But if you, it's something you can change, first of
Right.
all, the yoga practice, the slowing down, I think allows space, and then your mind also shifts and you start to make different choices. Or maybe the health situation is so bad that your
Mm-hmm.
body is like screaming at you, please look at me and, let me slow down. But
Yes.
yeah, it's probably not enough to, stay stressed and then practice this on the side. You have to also become
Yeah.
aware, like just pick your battles, I guess.
I would totally agree because, like I said, it's just a tool in your toolkit. And yeah, if you're still have a very stressful life and all you do is yoga nidra, like it's it's not
It's
going to help.
good,
It's
better than
good. It's
nothing,
definitely, you
but
should be doing it. And
hmm
I do think it can help you become more aware of your patterns, though, because the
yes.
other part of yoga nidra is the whole thing with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the
Oh, I want to talk
subconscious,
about
yeah.
that too. There's so many things here that are so juicy and
I
interesting.
know.
Good, good. So, yeah, what else? We talked about the brain waves. You said the cortisol, the hormones,
Right.
fight or flight, sympathetic versus parasympathetic.
Right.
Mm, anything else there? Or
I
keep
will
going? Yeah.
mention too, like for the science part of it, So I think that all of this information about the brain waves and the nervous system is why it is also a very physically healing practice for physical issues, even though you're not
Mm.
physically moving the body at
Like
all.
pain,
Yes,
fibromyalgia, or chronic
any
pain.
chronic pain, right? It's been shown that chronic pain is exacerbated when your nervous system is on overdrive, and that's really a huge, huge,
So
huge
true.
factor of it. It's not really about the physical. Of course, that's part of it,
So
but yeah,
true.
they have actually done scientific studies on yoga nidra, and it's proven to have so many physical benefits, like regulating your hormones, regulating blood glucose in for diabetics.
Diabetic people. Uh-huh.
Yeah, lowering chronic pain, alleviating anxiety, alleviating depression. I think I also saw a study about thyroid function with yoga nidra. Just because all of these things are so connected to the nervous system. And
Inflammatory things, I think,
right,
right? Mm-hmm.
stress makes inflammation. And when you go to the doctor, like, and you have, a thyroid problem, they're not going to talk to you about, like, are you chronically in fight or flight mode? No. They're going to give you that thyroid medication and say, okay, bye, have a great life. But you need to do so much more than that. You need to do the medication and take care of
And if
the
maybe
stress
it's a
response.
better doctor, they might say, stay away from stress, which is
Right.
good
Oh,
advice. But
okay.
we also need the tools. We need to know how.
Yeah,
Because everybody,
exactly.
I think, theoretically knows they need to stay away from stress,
I
logically.
totally
But
agree.
hmm
But it's so much like, I used to hate when I would go to doctors and they would say, like, well, try to lower your stress. Like, okay, like, I was born stressed. I feel like stress lives in my cells. Like, that's
it
just
runs
who
through
I
your
am.
veins.
Me and
Well,
stress go together. I don't know how to
oh,
lower it. Like, how am I supposed to lower it? And then, so that was kind of my own work to figure out what worked for me.
hmm
Yeah.
definitely. Well, good for you. I'm so glad that you did because you can share this gift with the world. We
Yeah.
always have to go through that personally, it seems, and just either hit our head on a wall and keep doing the wrong thing, but we wake
Mm-hmm.
up maybe one day and then we find such a practice or the way, a way. It doesn't have to be the
Yes.
only way, but it's a way, a good way. And then we can start to get excited, be inspired to share it with other people because we know it works.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yes, for sure.
hmm So, should we start talking about the conscious mind, subconscious, that stuff, or what do you think?
Sure, we can talk about that. Yeah. I'll try to make it like quick and simple because that's a huge topic.
It's huge, and we already can you believe it? We have 20 minutes.
I know. I know.
It's
Yeah.
flying by, but yeah, I find that very interesting as someone who's been through psychotherapy for a long time
Hmm.
and thinking that, I'm a very aware person, but this works
Yes.
at a very deep level, it seems. And
Yeah.
there's that hypnagogic state that you mentioned as well.
Yes.
I think that's something that we maybe we feel, but we can't quite explain.
Yeah, the hypnagogic state. Okay, so conscious mind versus subconscious mind. And this is all kind of connected to the nervous system and to the brain waves and all of that.
hmm
Um, but if you want to think about your mind like an iceberg, so the part of the iceberg that sits on top of the water, that's the part that we can see, is actually the smallest part of the iceberg. And the part that's below the water is the biggest and also the most important part. That's like the meat of the iceberg. The mind works the same way. The conscious mind, which is the mind that me and you are in right now, anytime you are being logical, rational, kind of like with the beta brainwaves,
hmm
that's the mind of activity, willpower, control, the sensory world. That's the smallest part of our mind. That's the top of the iceberg.
And
The
we think
sub,
it's,
we
so
think it's
big.
everything, but
Oh,
really,
we do
really,
think it
it's
is.
not.
Hmm
Everything is in the subconscious mind, which is the part that's below the surface. And that is the mind of your instincts, your survival mode, your habits, all of that. And that part of the mind is where all of the patterns and the belief systems and the programs that really run your life. What you think that you have control, right? You think that, oh, it's my personality, or these are my beliefs that I choose to believe. So much of that is shaped by the subconscious mind, and it's subconscious, right? So we're not aware of it. We're not
Subconscious.
aware of it until we start to
And
do some digging.
do you think it's also the stuff that's passed on by our parents, the generational stuff, or what
Yes.
do they call it? Generational trauma or
Generational trauma, ancestral trauma.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Right.
Ancestral trauma. Yes, yes.
Right. There's also this whole thing about epigenetics, which is how your genes express themselves based on your environment. And
Exactly.
I think that's also
So
connected to
true.
your
Like I know I'm a
ancestry.
different person when I'm living in Turkey. I'm an entirely different person when I'm living in Canada. Like those are the two
Yeah.
major countries I lived in, and I know that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So bringing this back to Yoga Nidra, the power in a Yoga Nidra practice is that when we are getting to that hypnagogic state, right? So we're in the
We've slowed down the,
parasympathetic nervous
yes,
system.
there
We're
we are.
chill.
Okay. Lying down.
We've dropped down the brain waves, so we're in alpha brain waves and theta brain waves. When we're in this space between being asleep and being awake, we are able to access our subconscious mind I mean, you can't really access your subconscious mind when we're sitting here like we are right now. You have to
Mm.
be in that drop down state to get there.
Hmm.
Um, Not necessarily, again, this is a very complex topic, but if you want to
Right,
do it
right.
in a nice, gentle way, you just drop it down using a practice like Yoga Nidra, and then your subconscious mind, it's almost like it's fertile soil there.
Mm.
It's ready for you to put beliefs in there that you choose, that you want to put in, and also start to kind of get rid of, deprogram, all of that stuff, clear out the ones that you don't want. So hopefully you would, before you go into a Yoga Nidra practice, you would want to think about a little bit, all right, like what do I want to get after? What do I want to call into my life? What patterns do I realize are maybe not the best for me that I want to start to look deeper at and reprogram? And you think about that. Um,
And
and
can a
so
complete beginner start to think of that, or do you need a lot of experience?
No, I think a complete beginner can start to think of that, because the other aspect of it is if you do different yoga nidras, when it's time, well, we have to talk about the sankalpa, which is your intention that you
I
bring
was
in.
just going to, yeah, slowly say, oh, how does
Yes.
that, yeah, the sankalpa's coming, but yes.
But often when you start to get dropped down into that state, your intuition is also talking to you more clearly there. So this is like the whole idea of the koshas too, getting into the sheaths of
Hmm.
the body. Um, so when it's time to say, okay, this is my intention that I want to bring into my subconscious mind, whatever comes up, just let it come up and just go with it, because
Believe it, like it. Hmm.
yes, your intuition is speaking to you, because it's the sensory withdrawal, right? Like everything else is falling away. The body falls away. Just let what comes up. And you don't want to go back into the conscious mind and start to say, well, is this really what I want? Maybe I should do this. Like maybe this pattern is better, or X, Y, and Z. Just let it be natural without any force. And usually
Let it come to you.
when your intuition speaks to you, it's speaking to you for a reason. So you should listen. So it's not necessarily something to get super, you know, attached to, whatever this intention is. But yeah, the whole idea is that your intention can go into your subconscious mind. Like you're just planting a little seed,
Seed.
planting your little tomato seed in your summer garden, and then you're going to go through your life, water it, fertilize it,
And it can be
hopefully.
anything, right? It can be
Yeah.
asking for prosperity, money.
Mm-hmm.
It can be asking for health, for
Yes.
the ability to sleep again, or
Yeah.
anything. Like I want to get into that master's program, or anything. But
Yeah.
most likely
Anything.
it's patterns that are difficult for us that cause an issue, and
Yeah.
we know we need to get out of them. But it can literally be anything, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically.
So this whole idea of the sankalpa. We might as well
Sankalpa,
just, yeah,
yes. I'm
sankalpa.
going to type that down for anyone who's watching.
Yes.
Sankalpa.
Hmm.
Let's
And
see.
it's a
Hmm.
Sanskrit word. It just means intention or vow.
We can even call it the seed at this point. But
The
yes,
seed,
intention,
right.
for
And
sure.
you know, if you've been to a yoga class, the teacher says a lot. If you have an intention, like say in your mind your intention. Now, that's also sankalpa.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why sankalpa is so powerful in Yoga Nidra is because of the whole thing with the subconscious mind. So
Mm-hmm.
it's much easier to embed an intention in the mind when you are in that receptive state of being dropped down and
Mm-hmm.
you have fertile soil. So like you said, your sankalpa can be anything. It doesn't have to be about a deep subconscious pattern. It doesn't have to be about a trauma. It could just simply be like, my mind is calm and quiet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or I am open to receiving guidance from the universe.
So
And
is it
anything.
more effective to say it that way, or like it's happening in present tense, or to say, I don't want to feel? You know how they say with affirmations,
Yes.
when you say don't, it's
Yes.
inviting the negative. So is it also useful? Is it the same thing with Sankalpa?
Yes, yes, completely. And
Mm-hmm.
I go into this a lot more in depth in that workshop that you were mentioning, but
Right.
the subconscious mind doesn't understand the idea of no. So whenever you're wording your intention, you do
It
want to
believes
keep it,
you. Mm-hmm.
you want it to believe you, and you don't want to use any words that are associated with what you don't want to attract. So just like you were saying with the
This is so
affirmations,
important. So important. Anyone who's doing this kind of work, it's so
yes.
important.
So, like, for example, let's say that you're dealing with anxiety and you want to use
Very
yoga.
common thing. Yes,
Yeah,
super common.
you want to use your yoga nidra to address your anxiety. So, if you were to form a sankalpa, it's very simple. You just want it to be a simple sentence, easy to remember,
Mm-hmm.
short. Like you said, present tense, because we want the mind to think, okay, this is already happening,
Good.
and positive language. So, instead of saying something like, I am not anxious or I don't have anxiety, again, you have to reword it to my example I used before of my mind is calm and quiet.
Good.
Right,
Okay,
because we
that
don't
makes
want to
complete
use the
sense.
word no, we don't want to use the word don't, we don't want to use the word anxiety because we don't want anxiety.
You
So
want
we
to think
want
of
to,
the opposite
right,
and invite the calm, presence,
exactly.
the softness, the relaxed state, or whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah,
positive words for sure.
exactly.
Hmm. So you plant your seed, you have your
Mm-hmm.
positive in present tense, nice sankalpa, and it can be
Mm-hmm.
anything, and you're there and you're in the, I guess, hypnagogic state
Mm-hmm.
at
Hopefully
this
you're
point.
there. Yeah.
Hopefully, or close to it, you're in
Yeah.
the alpha waves
The alpha
at
waves.
the very
Yeah.
least. At the very
Yeah.
least, okay. I keep, you know how it always goes alpha first, beta
Right.
second, as
Yeah.
if in other
Yeah.
places. So I keep thinking it's that, but in the brain wave, it's different.
Yeah.
So you're there and you're accessing the subconscious mind. And
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing it in a conscious way. It's through the
Right.
practice. It's, yeah, through the teacher, the voice, the recording.
Right.
Then what happens? Hopefully you,
Right.
yeah,
So,
I mean, this is a huge question. I know. It's not gonna, we're not gonna have enough time for, yeah.
yeah.
It's very deep stuff.
It's very, very deep. And I mean, we're talking so in depth and so in detail about it. And it makes it sound very complicated. But when you
It's
practice it,
not.
it's not complicated at all. And it's very, very natural. And since you're just lying there, again, you're just listening. That's all you
You're
have to do.
passive.
You're
Yeah, you don't have to
passive.
be like taking notes or anything. You're literally lying down, receptive,
Right.
open, and letting
Right.
go.
So all yoga nidras are a little bit different depending on the instructor or whatever the
Of
purpose of the
course.
yoga nidra, but most of them are going to include some sort of guided relaxation just to get you relaxed, almost as if you're doing a body scan in shavasana at the
Mm-hmm.
end of
Mm-hmm.
yoga. Then, if they're going to use the sankalpa, which not all yoga nidras use them, the sankalpa will come in at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Then you usually do a rotation of consciousness throughout different parts of the body. So what that
Meaning
means,
becoming, yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
no, no,
what
go
that
ahead.
means is the instructor is just going to say, become aware of, and then name different parts.
Dot, dot, dot.
Your
Yeah.
right hand thumb, your third eye, your kneecap, whatever it is. You rotate through the whole body. Then they will usually include some sort of breath breath work or focus on the breath. Maybe that's counting the breath. Maybe that's just feeling the breath moving from the belly to the throat. Again, everyone is different. And then that could be the end if it's a shorter practice. Then they'll bring you back out of it. Or sometimes they'll do almost like a visualization, like a journey. Like you're walking through a forest and you see this and blah, blah, blah. Or they will name different objects and you're just supposed to visualize those in your mind. Or they might have you feel different sensations in the body, like feel a feeling of heaviness, feel a feeling of lightness, feel heat, feel cold.
Contrasts.
Contrasts, right?
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. And then usually they will have you repeat the sankalpa again if they used it. So you say it in the beginning and then you say it at the end as well. And then they bring you slowly back out of it. They start to say, you know, become aware of your body again, become aware of your breath, become aware of your environment, and you slowly prepare to sit back up and rejoin the world.
Come back to consciousness, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
it's
it's
very
maybe
natural.
Can it be done in a group? It probably can, I guess, in a class, if it's a Yoga Nidra class.
Yeah, it
But
can be done in a group.
yeah, I think it can. I mean, we had during our YTT, but I'm kind of thinking now it's so ideal to have your own recording and do it in your own personal time.
Yes.
But yeah, probably when you're super tired, but right before you're going to bed, it may not be the best time to get everything out of it. I mean, it's great for me now to fall asleep, but to really get everything out of it, that, you know, seed, the sankalpa, the healing, the deeper work, it might be even better to do it earlier, not right before bed.
Definitely agree. That's how, so like I said, when I
You
started
experiment,
doing
you
it,
try different things.
yeah, I started out doing it before bed every night because I needed that help sleeping. But
When you're in the
now,
chronic state, yes.
yes, but now I use it. I use it usually kind of in the late afternoon, more like a nap. So I said
I
this to you
love
the other
that.
day. I am not a person who can nap in the daytime, no matter how tired I am. But I can go and do a yoga nidra, you know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And when I come out of it, I feel even better than when I napped. Because sometimes when you nap, you feel so groggy and
And you
out
want
of
to keep
it.
hitting
Yeah.
snooze, yes.
Yeah. But yoga nidra, I also mentioned this to you. I feel like it's an intelligent and it's an intuitive practice in your body, and that your body is going to get what it needs out of it. So if you need to sleep, you'll sleep. If you need rejuvenation, you'll feel rejuvenated
After
after.
you're done, yeah.
Yeah, so it's balance. I think you said it was balancing.
Yeah,
It's
if
not
you're
one
like
way or
this,
the
you show
other.
up like this, you know, you're here, not this,
Yes.
but maybe it goes there, but then you end here.
Yes.
I love that. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. Like why isn't this more, you know, widely practiced? What do you think? Do you have any ideas about that?
I
Or maybe it is secretly, if it's because it's the best kept secret, it's done in this cult quiet scene. I don't know. I don't know. There's
I
these
don't know. If
quiet
that's true,
sessions.
then I might have to go and join that cult. I don't know.
Exactly. It sounds like a cult I'd want to be part of.
Yeah.
Relaxation cult.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it as a super popular option. I think it's part of, at least in the US, I think it's
Hmm.
part of the culture of go, 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 do, you know, especially like with yoga has
Achieve. Mm.
achieved, and yoga has become like a workout over here. It's like we want to sweat, we want to do 800 million chaturangas, we want a
Yeah.
six pack. Hey, B.
Yeah, Bee's here. I didn't want to
Hi.
interrupt you, but hi, Bee. We're sort
Um,
of wrapping up, but yeah,
yeah.
it's insane. And yes, the go, 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 do, you know,
hmm
achievement mentality.
And this kind of
Yeah.
idea that like no pain, no gain, and all of
Oh,
that. And we just don't realize how much we need the others. Our whole life is
the
no pain,
opposite
no gain,
spectrum. And I
you
keep saying
know?
in my classes, it should be no pain, no pain. I mean, there are
Yeah.
moments where you feel the stretch and it should hurt, but I witnessed this in yoga studios where people, they want pain. And if I
Yeah.
don't give them pain, they feel like they haven't done anything.
Right.
It's so weird, but
It's yeah, like
people
oh
want the
if
pain. They thank the teachers. They're like, thank you so much. And then they're dying or something. But that's the culture, and also in Turkey
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I mean, it's like almost like if my heart isn't pumping, if I'm not dripping sweat, if I'm not basically almost in tears, then I'm not doing
Uh-huh.
it right. And it's,
And that can be nice sometimes, but
yeah,
not
we need
all the
that once in a
time.
while.
Not all the
Yeah.
time, you know? We also
Yeah.
definitely need, just like we have the sympathetic nervous system for when we're running away from the tiger, but then our
Yes.
mind can't differentiate between the time not okay, I'm not being chased by a tiger all the time,
Right.
but we
Right.
do walk around as if we are, and that's where the problems
Exactly.
start.
Exactly. The body and the mind doesn't know, okay, I'm safe now. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're amping, if you use your yoga practice as a workout, you know, to amp yourself up all the time, you're not, first of all, you're not getting the full and true benefits of yoga, but you're also not,
Exactly.
you're not doing your body any favors. Like I feel like I get enough pain and stress and I get pushed enough just by living life as a
Exactly.
human in
21st
2020,
century,
right?
yes. And 2020
Exactly.
specifically, yes.
Yeah,
So
2020, man.
true.
If there was
I don't
ever
want
a
to,
year to do yoga nidra, it's 2020, people.
I love that. Let this be the slogan of tonight. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, so
So yeah,
true.
yeah, we need to calm down. You know, Taylor Swift said it, you need to calm down.
I think everybody needs to calm down big time. I had a
Yeah.
teacher who told me that all the alpha people, they actually need to go do like hatha, gentle restorative stuff, and all
Mhm.
the beta people who are a little bit, I like this restorative stuff. They're a little bit, lazy.
Yeah.
They need to go out and do the Ashtanga. But it's so funny how
Yes.
people want to do what they're like. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we have to slowly wrap up, unfortunately, but not
Yeah.
quite yet. But I want to ask you, like, if people want to reach you and they
Yes.
want to try out Yoga Nidra,
Yes.
where can they find you?
So if you guys want to check out what I have to offer, just go to my Instagram. I should be tagged here. I see myself up there in the corner. It's
Exactly.
Elise in the Flow. And I have a variety of pre-recorded offerings. So I actually, this week, I just did a free 45-minute yoga nidra and breathwork class.
Hmm.
And if you want that, just DM me your email address and I'll
Please
send
do.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll send it
Hmm.
over. It's completely free. And I also have some other paid offerings that you can check out if you just click on the link in my bio. I just launched. I'm so excited about it. It's a
That's
bundle
awesome.
of 5 yoga nidras.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. I wrote them all, so they're all original yoga nidras, and I recorded them all, and they're all between 20 and 30 minutes.
No,
And
I
they,
watched your workshop. It was so informative, even though I
yes,
knew it wasn't like brand new information, so to speak. The way you put it
hmm,
together was so intelligent and it flowed really well and it made complete sense. And the way you
yes.
explained it was also, it was wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
I highly recommend her workshop.
Thank you. Yeah, the
Hmm.
workshop is also linked in my bio. That's a 90-minute workshop where I go like even more in depth, way more in depth than how we talked about it here on all of the science and theory and all that.
Amazing.
And there's also a 30-minute practice in that workshop as well. So yeah, just everything's on my Instagram and
Yeah, just
more than
hop on.
happy to take questions, anything.
Exactly. And if anything was not addressed tonight, I mean, we didn't really have time for that. I actually should have asked if anybody had any questions, but they can.
Oh,
This is going to be kept as a recording on my
yes.
Instagram TV, so you can hop on there and just tag Elise if you have a question for her.
Yes.
She'll get back to you, or vice versa, and
Hmm.
yeah, we'll be accessible after this recording as well.
Yeah, and
So, any. Hmm.
if anyone tries out Yoga Nidra, or if you try out my 45-minute class, the one that's free, I would love to know how you feel
The
after.
feedback, yeah.
Yeah, just like when I sent it to Senem, and then she sent me a voice message like, "Oh my God, I
I
didn't use the
slept. I
white. I
slept.
slept. I didn't use the white noise. I didn't wake up. I literally was in my house, and I was like, yes."
This is
Because
it.
it just makes me so happy to hear that because it's been so amazing for me. I feel like I'm a yoga nidra pusher. Like, have you tried yoga nidra? Have you tried yoga nidra?
Which is sort of an interesting
Yeah.
oxymoron because
Yeah.
pushing, pushing, but no, some things have to be pushed. People need to be
Yeah.
nudged into relaxation, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to thank you so much, Elise. We could go on forever, but I don't
I
want to be
know.
cut off abruptly.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. I think
Thank
this was
you.
highly informative, and we didn't even get into the koshas too much, but
Oh,
there's a
yes.
bunch of information online. There's
Yeah.
also Turkish Yoga Nidra recordings available on YouTube, and you can also reach me for that, even though this recording was all in English.
Mm.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We expect your comments, and thank you, Elise, for your time and your wonderful
Thank you.
enthusiasm.
Thank you, Sanam. It was so great. I really enjoyed it.
Same here. Likewise. I hope this enthusiasm